hundreds of millions of people per year for 4,000 years don't use something for a purpose if it doesn't work. And the whole original way ancient texts about ashwagandha talk about it imparting the strength of a stallion. And there are lots of reasons we can chase down all kinds of pharmacokinetic pathways about why that's so. But the bottom line is this whole syncretic bunch of things that happens as a result of the extraordinary phytochemistry of this plant just blows open, energetic channels and reduces stress and clears the mind and frees up energy and generates more energy and enhances strength. And it has done so as far back as we have record of its use. Ashwagandha has always meant the roots of Withania somnifera. Withania somnifera, ashwagandha, it's this little shrub. It never gets higher than a few inches off the ground, grows in arid climates. You can find it in Africa and the Mediterranean, but it really took root, no pun intended, around 4,000 years ago in India. And you're probably aware that in India, there is a traditional system of medicine called Ayurveda, which is the oldest medicinal system in the world in terms of being articulated and written down. And among the 7,500 plants that are used in Ayurveda for all different purposes, ashwagandha is considered number one. It's called the king of herbs. And traditionally, the idea is to take the root, to chop it up, to boil it with fatty buffalo milk and palm sugar, and to drink a big glass or cup of that. Obviously, that's an impractical way for us to go about it in the market today. So we have to have some means by which we can take that whole thing, everything about the root and all of its goodness and all the ways that it can be extracted by being boiled in fatty buffalo milk, because they were smart scientists way back then, not just, oh, this is a liquid, let's use this. So the bottom line is that ashwagandha has, like all plants, hundreds of naturally occurring compounds. And among them, one group that's considered especially bioactive is called the withanolides. And different ashwagandha products are standardized to different concentrations of withanolides. KSM-66 is concentrated to 5%, which is a high standard. So the idea is that, ashwagandha has been in our market in the natural products industry for decades. Planetary formulas, Gaia herbs, they've all had some ashwagandha, but it has never really gone anywhere. And it was never on the best-selling 100 list even. And then KSM-66 came along and really changed that equation in the course of 10 years. The company is vertically integrated. So in other words, the only entity doing anything with ashwagandha in the world today that is cultivates their own certified organic roots, has its own dedicated manufacturing facilities. In fact, a few years ago, there was one manufacturing extraction plant, and now there are 5 identical ones because of the volume. And all that the company makes, the only thing the company makes is KSM-66 ashwagandha extract. Done under very high standards. The CEO is a little bit of a certification freak. So he has 40 different certifications. And if you know anything about ISO certifications and all the others, they all require audits and conforming to different regulations. The company gets audited about once every 5 days. Year round, all year, every year, by certifying bodies who are in there crawling through everything. And the extraction is clean and green. No exotic solvents, not even any alcohol. There are 2 methods of extraction. One is with milk, one is with just water, which really serves the vegan market. And one of the things that I think has really driven this product and has made a fundamental difference in the market for all of ashwagandha. It's one of those rising tide lifts all boats scenarios, is that the company has invested very heavily in human clinical studies. Right now, there are 24 published on stress and sleep and sexual health and function and muscular strength and recovery and testosterone and overall fitness and VO2 max, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. And there are another 20 or so, 24 more coming out. And these are double-blind, placebo-controlled human clinical studies published in peer-reviewed journals and available on PubMed. So what has happened is that KSM-66 has gone after some fundamental traditional uses. Overall vitality, that's going to be in your sports performance, human studies, of which there are a few. Enhanced mental clarity. Ashwagandha is known traditionally as something called a medhya rasayan, a mind extending, a healthy mind extending agent. So in other words, helping the mind to be clear and focused and highly functional for longer and into longer, older years. So in addition to being known as a rasayan, which is a rejuvenating agent, it really does seem that the primary reason, and it's impossible to chase down all the pharmacokinetics of a multi-hundred component agent, no matter what it is. So we don't know about how everything works and can't pretend to. But we do know that a major item is the reduction of cortisol. I'm sure you're very well aware with cortisol, we need it to live. But when it gets out of that healthy mid-zone that it's supposed to be in and goes up high, people suffer a mental fogginess, fatigue, irritation, nervousness, anxiety, metabolic disturbances, bad sleep, all kinds of things happen. This is very well established. It appears that through human studies, basically that KSM-66 ashwagandha very significantly addresses that problem. It brings cortisol down by about an average of 27%. That's a lot. And I do want to make a point about this. Everything in the human body needs to happen in a mid-zone. Temperature shouldn't be too high or too low. Heart rate shouldn't be too high or too low. Respiration, not too high or too low, and on and on. And the same is true with something like cortisol. No cortisol, you'll die, okay? But you want it in a healthy mid-zone, but when it goes very high, as it does with a lot of people, then that sets a whole chain reaction of unwanted health disorders. And basically, if you can address that, if you can get the cortisol into control, then we see improved sleep, improved energy. We did the Oxford Happiness Index with one group in a human study, and 72% of them said that they felt happier as a result of taking KSM-66. I think it was for 12 weeks on that one. But the point is, it really works with body and mind. With athletic performance, we see improved VO2 max, improved muscular strength, a little bit better management of BMI, a lot of different things. In men, improved testosterone, improved sperm count, motility, etc. In women, all parameters of improved sexual satisfaction and function, healthier function. So it does a lot.
You know, with that in mind, can I follow up with a little add-on? Obviously, our specific product has 600 milligrams of the KSM-66. I think that was your recommendation as well.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't to take the product and experience the difference overnight. I believe, in fact, Dr. Jocks was talking about stacking, and when you did these studies or had these studies, and Elise might be able to address this as well, what period of time just on average, everybody's different, everybody's lifestyle is different, but on average, how long do you think, or how long were these studies that found this rest and this cortisol reduction of 27%? It didn't happen overnight. A lot of people like that, especially in America.
No.
So would you give some reasonable parameters?
That was an 8-week result, wasn't it? Yeah.
It is. So all our studies are 8 to 12 weeks, and we don't pull data before a month.
There's 2 ways to extract this. One was with milk, one was with water. Is there a better source? I mean, why use milk if you could just have to use water? I mean, there's got to be a reason you use milk versus water.
Yeah, easily. Okay. There are some fatty and resinous compounds in ashwagandha root. And fatty and resinous compounds are either best extracted with alcohol or with a fatty substance. And so milk happens to be a great fatty substance. In the old Ayurvedic tradition, as I mentioned earlier, the recommendation was to chop up the root, boil it in fatty buffalo milk. Obviously, that was to tease out everything and also to add jaggery, palm sugar. So yeah, it will, if you look at the withanolide peaks, 5 or 6 of the primary withanolides, which form the basis for the 5% withanolide value of the extract, they're basically the same with the milk extracted version and with the water extracted version. But it is the case that there are some other little peaks that will show up as a result of the milk extraction that won't be in the vegan version. I mean, the amount of milk that will be in a 600 milligram dose of KSM-66 it's pretty much homeopathic, but the whole vegan thing has just sort of steamrolled along. So more and more companies are choosing the water version instead.
Is there any age restrictions or concerns when it comes to ashwagandha? There
are not. I mean, in general, I don't think that super energetic little kids need it. They don't really seem to. They run around hard and then they fall asleep. I mean, they seem to have that part worked out. But no, there isn't. And I have spent a great deal of time with gynecologists and obstetricians in India, and they have all said that no woman leaves their office without ashwagandha, whether they're pregnant, lactating, or not. And so in India, anyway, among a huge population of people, that's not a restricted group. But in general, kids, I mean, there would be nothing wrong with kids utilizing ashwagandha, but they sure don't need it.
I'm a very, very senior, and I was a decorated athlete years ago. Chris, what is the best time to take this product, the product we have out, this Super Sport Body-Wise that we just came out with?
Well, because the effects are cumulative and then hit a certain steady point, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Some people taking it in the afternoon so they get a better sleep. Maybe some react that way. In general, I mean, whenever it's convenient for you to take your supplements, if it's morning or midday, the whole idea is that it's modifying physiology over the course of time until you hit a new steady state. That new steady state would typically be demonstrated by lower cortisol, improved energy, better sleep, reduced feelings of stress, overall reduction of mild to moderate anxiety, kind of those markers. If you take ashwagandha consistently, you'll consistently garner the health benefits.
In this call, we've used KSM-66 and ashwagandha kind of generically interchangeably in the call because the only ashwagandha we're using in Body-Wise products is KSM-66. So in this context, it's fair. I was looking for a source of ashwagandha, grabbed a bunch of them, and I did what I did. I tested them all, right? and nothing tested to specification. So I went to my favorite lab and I said, hey, what passes? And they said, oh, this stuff. And I said, great, I want that. So, went after kind of pursuing this material. You guys make this huge investment as a company in science. It's also something incredibly impressive.
And it is funded by a family business called the Baldwa Group. And they own trucking, and they own logistics, and they own tea plantations and jewelry manufacturing and a power plant and a whole bunch of stuff. And they wanted to do something. Basically, they actually really wanted to do something for humanity. And millions and millions of dollars have gone into the development of the manufacturing facilities and the farms and the processing. The extraction method itself took 14 years to develop. I mean, the company has spent the kinds of sums of money that are not typically available to other companies, even really good large extraction companies.
I don't have a question, but I would like to just make a comment. Chris, I just want to say thank you. I've been involved with traditional Chinese medicine and teaching Tai Chi for a good 40 years and using BodyWise products since 1995.
Oh.
So your clarification about the efficacy of the Supercell Sports product is very much welcomed, and I will be definitely recommending it to my students since most of them now are in their senior years. So again, kudos and thank you.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you, Nathan. We can all use the boost. And Elise, is there anything additional that you want to add here before we head off into the hinterlands?
Just, the final thing is that we are continuing to push forward with the science. We have at least another 24 studies coming. We have a global study that is ongoing right now that's going to be 7 countries and 1,200 participants. So we are really pushing this as far as we can. You'll see a lot of really nice stuff from us this year and into next year.